Good morning. This is Anna Pacheco with SantaFe101.com, your resource for New Mexico real estate. Today, I have Paul Wilson from the Albuquerque area to share his expertise. Paul, do I have your permission to record this interview?
Absolutely, Anna. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Take it away. Before we started the recording this, you were giving me like kind of an education on what the Albuquerque metro area represents. So tell me a little bit about that and who you're with.
Sure. Well, so my wife and I are with eXp Realty. We fancy ourselves as the home team of eXp. We've been with eXp for 5 years, and we've been in real estate for both of us over 20 years. So we have over 45 years of combined experience here in the Albuquerque area. Albuquerque is growing just like Santa Fe is in terms of building, and also prices are going up. And right now, as we speak in November of 2020, this is a very significant seller's market. Seller's market just because the demand hasn't changed, but the inventory of houses for sale has drastically been reduced for a number of reasons. COVID certainly plays into this, but other things too. People are staying in their homes longer because houses are going up in price. People look at the market and say, you know, we like our neighborhood, we like our neighbors, we like the bones of our home. Let's just make an addition or do an upgrade. So that's going on more and more and more now, especially because the inventory of opportunities to buy are so limited right now. In a normal market, this is true nationwide, 6 months of inventory is what we consider to be balanced market.
And when you say 6 months of inventory, like what would that represent? Like how many houses is 6 months worth of inventory?
Well, it depends on the market, depends on how many sales are going on. But let me just give you, for instance, what 6 months of inventory indicates is that it would take 6 months of sales at the current rate to sell all the houses on the market at the current rate. So 6 months is considered by real estate professionals to be a balanced market, good for buyers, good for sellers, properties to look at, and in fact, the sellers have to be a little more competitive in their pricing. Right now in Albuquerque, we have 1.1 months of inventory. That's really, really low. And so and the average time to sell a house is 6 days on the market. That is literally unheard of. So it's a crazy market from most standards, just because the buyers, if they're buyers, have to be very competitive in their offers. Sellers are being a little picky about the buyers they're choosing to buy or sell to.
And I know here in Santa Fe, they're having bidding wars. Like people are. I had a friend who sold her house literally in one day at $12,000 more above the asking price. So there's bidding wars going on.
Yeah, and that's what's going on right now. As a matter of fact, more statistics. Right now, Albuquerque properties are selling at 100% of their list price.
Well, again, it's a seller's market. Good for sellers. And are you seeing people coming from out of the state, or why is there such a rush to come to New Mexico right now?
Well, the lockdowns in some of the states in our country are just basically pushing people out of their current states. That's one thing. Our economy is growing. We're actually having big industries come in. I just read yesterday that Netflix is actually increasing its footprint here in New Mexico. So those are the kind of things that are happening. You know, the weather is incredibly good, as most of New Mexicans know. We don't have any real swings in terms of really incredibly bad winters or incredibly hot summers. It's just a good place to be year round. And there are economic opportunities here. If people want to put their nose to the grindstone, they certainly can. We have education. We have a number of very good universities. We have sports teams. We have the outdoor that, you know, people just love to be outdoors here in New Mexico. There's just a lot of stuff to do here. And
Well, you certainly get a lot more for your money here. I mean, I know for us locals, it sounds like a lot of money, 300 to $500,000, but you couldn't get anything on the two coasts for that kind of money in terms of like a 2,200 square foot home, a nice yard, a good neighborhood. I mean, so you get a lot for your money here. Don't you agree?
How many millions do you want to spend on a 2,200 square foot house? Yeah, absolutely correct. So I think people are seeing the value of New Mexico. Arizona used to be a bargain, but it's no longer. And so I think people are just coming here. The other thing I like to talk about too, Anna, is, we are between Texas, Arizona, and California. Texas, California, and Arizona are three of the top 5 states that are attracting foreign investors and foreign movement, people from, well, China, Japan, Europe, Latin America. We are the tooth in the middle of that smile, if you will, that doesn't attract as many. And I think people from around the world are actually finding us. There is this new website, newmexicohomesearch.com, that actually pulls all the data from all the different multiple listing services in New Mexico. We have 11 multiple listing services in New Mexico. I don't know if you knew that. But New Mexico Home Search is a new website that actually incorporates all those properties from around the state. And people are finding that website from all over the country, yes, and even internationally. So we're being more visible now, if you will. We're working in conjunction with New Mexico True, as you know, and that website actually has a lot of information around the state. So that would be something that people that are watching this video might want to know about if they're looking for different parts of the state. We got a big state. We got the 5th largest state in the union.
I know, we do indeed. Yes.
And
Texas, California, Alaska, and Montana.
And the 6th least populated. So we got room.
Yeah, we actually, it works out to 17 people per square mile. I did the arithmetic on that one. So that's true.
Good.
But when you talk about international investment or foreign, like, are people just from other countries wanting to live here, or are they bringing businesses here, or is that a combination of the two?
Combination of both. A couple of years ago, we had a Chinese group of folks come in and look at New Mexico for a number of reasons. One of them was looking at places where they could actually do some pilot training. They're doing a lot of aviation sorts of initiatives there in China. So this is a perfect place. The weather here is just absolutely great all year round. And that was one of the things they were looking at. They're looking at New Mexico to, well, parents sending their children here for a good education. We've got the University of New Mexico State, and of course the other universities, Eastern, Western, Highlands. So we've got a lot of opportunities here for education that people are just finding out about. And I think that's really cool. I think we've been hiding ourselves from the rest of the country.
Well, I think what it is too is, what Colorado used to be kind of sleepy like New Mexico, and Colorado, that's just above us here. They're growing in leaps and bounds. So I think it's just that our proximity to other things that we're just growing faster. But you mentioned aviation. I think this is kind of a neat little tidbit, because the weather is so nice, and right now with COVID and everything, all of these major airliners, all their big jumbo jets, they're parking them. They have in Roswell. So it's really, I don't know if you've ever done this, but one time I was coming from Carlsbad Caverns and I was driving, and all of a sudden I saw like Qantas and Singapore Air, and it was like, what? It was like, so it was surreal. But actually, because our weather is so nice, that this is where they park the big jumbo jets that aren't in use, like, during like the downtime, like right now. So kind of interesting there. Tell me a little bit about eXp Realty. You've been doing this for 20 years, but you've been with this company for 5 years. So why the move, or why'd you do it? Or tell me a little bit about the company.
Well, the ideology was that when my wife and I married back in 1999, back in the day, she was with one company, I was with another. So we decided to move to a third neutral corner. It's a mom and pop local company here. And that was in 2000. And we decided that we wanted to break off on our own. So I became the broker of our company called Home Team Realty. And we were there for 15 years, 14 years actually. And I had heard about EXP, talked to some people about it. And then in 2015, it just seemed to me that I saw their unique selling proposition a little bit differently. They're actually a broker-owned company.
And
And
what
what
does
that
that mean? What does
well, it
that mean?
means that we're a company, not a franchise. So in some cases, like Coldwell Banker or Remax or Keller Williams, people can buy franchise and basically franchise the different areas in the country. We're one company, so we don't have any franchise fees. And the other part is that broker owned means that we actually own stock in the company. You, Anna, if you wanted to, could buy stock on our company. One of the real unique things about our company that I really liked was that when we had a sale, a commission, we could actually take part of our commission and buy stock in the company at a discount. So we've been doing that. Instead of paying a franchise fee, which we don't have, we just basically invest in our company and actually put that money away for a rainy day or retirement or whatever.
Excellent.
So it's company owned. The agents, the brokers actually get part of their commission in stock if they want. I don't see why you wouldn't do that, because we want to believe in our own company. So we're company owned, and that's really a really nice thing. And so we have a group of brokers from around the country, and in fact around the world now, that are a part of the board of directors that help the leaders make the decisions. We are in, I think, about 7 or 8 countries now. We just opened up South of Africa, and we opened up United Kingdom and Australia and New Zealand. And we're looking towards doing some stuff in Latin America real soon too. So we're not only just, EXP and United States, Canada, but also opening up markets around the world.
It sounds like an interesting business model for sure.
It really
Let's
is.
talk a little bit.
Oh,
I
and
know
the other
you.
thing I'll tell you, what's unique about it is we're in the cloud. So when this COVID thing hit, we were already doing the cloud. We were already in the web or in
So
the
you were
in the
showing
cloud.
virtual. You were doing
So
virtual listings,
we
or
have all of our meetings every week in the cloud. There's a company-wide meeting every Friday, and there's people from all over the world, literally, in that auditorium, without having to pay the travel expenses. How nice.
and what about but what about virtual home showing? I mean, listings. Do
We
you
do
show them
those. We
virtually?
absolutely do those. Yeah, that's pretty much industry wide now, just because
Is it?
we've had to. But Judy and I have embraced the idea that 3D tours, those are on our website. And of course, pictures. Sometimes people just prefer pictures, but the 3D is a real good technology that people have really come to appreciate, so that they can actually take their own little tour through the house.
And do people actually buy a house just virtually? I mean, without actually walking through it, kicking the tires, so to speak?
We've actually had a number of people to do that. We just closed on one not too long ago. A lady from Corpus Christi couldn't travel just because of her work, and saw the house online and made an offer and got it accepted and got it done.
Are you doing a
So,
lot more cash sales these days, or I mean, because aren't interest rates fairly low right now too?
oh, the interest rates, man, they're almost giving the money away.
Really?
Yeah, all the interest rates are below 3. All the relatively good interest rates are below 3. If you have a issue with down payment assistance, sometimes they're a little bit above that. But yeah, interest rates are at historical lows right now. It's just crazy. Um, about interest rates, a lot of times people say, well, gee, if I can't get it below 3, then I'm not going to do anything. Well, 7 has been actually the top interest rate in the last 200 years in the United States, except for 2 times around the time of the War of 1812, and then again I remember that time with Jimmy Carter, and
The
1978,
1970s.
82. Yeah, those are the two spikes.
Right. So tell me just a little bit, we have a little bit more time. Tell me about Rio Rancho. I know here in Santa Fe, a lot of Santa Feans, most original Santa Feans now live in Rio Rancho because they can't afford Santa Fe home prices anymore. Tell me a little bit about the Rio Rancho market.
We talk about Albuquerque Metro. It certainly includes Rio Rancho. Rio Rancho is the third largest city in New Mexico right now, which is sort of, people are surprised to hear that, but it's still sort of attached to Albuquerque. Rio Rancho is growing. It's, I think, about 35 years old right now. Back in the late 90s, they opened their first high school. Before that time, they were attached to the Albuquerque public school system. They detached in the late 90s with their first high school. They became their own public school system.
But they're their own municipality. I mean, they have their own mayor and everything, right? They're a separate city. They're not a suburb of Albuquerque for sure. But we talked about a little bit about, you're saying that Albuquerque house rates right now are about 306,000. What about Rio Rancho? What's kind of the norm there?
Norm there is probably about $25,000 less, but they have the high end too. And depending upon where you go, they're still building in Rio Rancho and some parts of Albuquerque, but mostly Rio Rancho.
But you're going to get a house that's relatively new. I mean, I know here in Santa Fe, like the oldest neighborhood in Santa Fe is the Casa Solana neighborhood. It was built right after World War II. Those houses are over 70 years old, and they're always in the $500,000 range. I mean, so you're getting a newer house in other down in Rio Rancho.
I like older houses because they've already done what they're going to do. That's the good news about older houses. And sometimes, as some people say, well, I don't want a house older than 5 years old. Well, I've seen houses 5 years old have been beat up really bad.
Really?
And in some cases where houses can be abused. In some cases, older houses have been renovated. They're actually better than new because the foundation's solid, the neighborhood's solid, the neighborhood looks like it's going to look like in 5 years already. So new versus old, I think you need to take a look at what old and new look like in the neighborhoods. New is good. We have a house under contract right now that's a new house. And there's some challenges with supply parts of the different things that go into it. We've already got 2 extensions on that house, putting it out beyond over a month beyond where they said they would be done. So that's a challenge. But once you get in, it doesn't matter. I like to talk about the 5-year test on it. If it doesn't matter in 5 years, it probably doesn't really matter right now, but right now it's kind of stressful.
So we're getting close to the end of our interview. What do you want? I mean, for people that might be listening out in California or just other parts of the country, what are some of the recommendations you would be in looking at possibly moving to New Mexico?
Well, when we say about buying a home, I like to talk about 3 things. First of all, you find the money. So if you don't have the money, you shouldn't even be looking. But if you can find the money, either have it in your account or get mortgage pre-approved, then you can do some shopping. And secondly, look at neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are really the most important thing beyond the actual money. And once you find the neighborhood, then we can find a specific house for you. What do you need? You need 2 or 3 bedrooms. You need a garage. You need a room. Do you want a view? Those are the sorts of things that I need to be thinking about specifically about the house. But number 1, find the money. Number 2, find the neighborhood. And we've got a lot of really neat neighborhoods in New Mexico, not just Albuquerque and Rio Rancho, but also in the States. So there's a lot of things. There's a good place for you if you're looking.
And what's the third thing? You gave me 2 things. What's the third thing?
A house.
Okay.
A house itself. So find the money, find the neighborhood, then you find the house. The house gets all that, how many bedrooms you want a view, where you want it to look. The feng shui stuff sometimes is very important to people. So how it faces is an important thing. The main thing is, come on down. We'd love to have you. New Mexico is a nice place to live, great place to grow a family, a great place to exercise, be outdoors, great place to have in the Hawaiian way, the ohana, the family.
Well, Paul, I want to thank you, and I'm going to put all of your contact details on SantaFe101.com. And I'd like to have your wife on at some point, and maybe we'll talk again. How's that? But I do
That'd be
thank you
great. Thanks
for
a lot,
today,
Ellen. Glad to
and
be here.
we'll talk to you again soon. How's that?